Joshua Holt with the Holt Real Estate Team and Keller Williams Realty. It seems of late the number one question on everybody's mind is, when is the current housing bubble going to burst? Well, today I'd like to share with you 5 reasons why we are not in a housing bubble and why we're not likely to see a bubble burst anytime soon. So the first reason why we are not in a housing bubble is because mortgage standards are much tougher than they were prior to the last housing crash. Back then it was actually more difficult not to get a mortgage than it is today. Today it's simply much tougher to qualify. If you look at the graph here, it shows the mortgage indexed, and the easiest way to understand this graph is the higher the number, the easier it is to get a mortgage. The second point is that prices are not soaring out of control. Though price appreciation has been quite strong recently, it is nowhere near the rise in prices that preceded the crash. Normal appreciation is around 3.6%, so while current appreciation is higher than the historic norm, it's certainly not accelerating beyond control as it did in the early 2000s. Point number 3, and probably the biggest point, is that we don't have a surplus of homes on the market. We have a home shortage. A balanced market is considered 6 months of supply. Anything more is an overabundance, causing prices to depreciate. Anything less is a shortage and will lead to continued appreciation. As you can see by this chart, there were simply too many homes on the market in 2007 versus now. And further fueling that shortage has been the drastic decrease in new construction homes, and you can see that over the last decade how significantly less amount of new homes are being built compared to the decades leading up to the housing crash of 2007, 2008. The fourth point would be that houses became too expensive to buy. The affordability formula factors in the price of the home, the wages earned by the purchaser, and the mortgage rate. If you flash back to 14 years ago, prices were high, wages were low, and mortgage rates were in excess of 6% on average. Now today, while prices are still high, wages have increased and the mortgage rates are closer to 3%. As you can see on this chart, a lower percentage of the median income is now needed to purchase a home comparative to the time leading up to the last housing crash. Now the fifth point is that people are equity rich and they're not tapped out. Pre-bubble, homeowners were treating their homes like an ATM machine. Many were immediately withdrawing the equity once it built up, and they were using it for things that were not necessarily housing related, and they learned their lesson in the process. Today, homeowners have not been tapping into their equity in that fashion, leading to over 50% of homes in the country having greater than 50% equity. So as you can see by this information, simply put, we're not in a housing bubble. It's simple supply and demand of the economy. We don't have enough homes on the market to meet the demand, and that is why prices continue to increase, and that is why people's equity positions continue to increase as well. So unless we find a way to solve the housing shortage issue, we're not going to see the bubble burst anytime soon. Of course, if you have any questions related to the topic that we talked about today or real estate in general that I can help with, simply give me a call at 608-345-6594, or you can always email me at jdholt@kw.com. I thank you for taking the time to watch the video today. I hope you found it informative, and be well.